Hey, here we go. Hey Tugboat, hey Pippy Pop. I've been listening to the Harrow County soundtrack for the last hour, and I'm never going out in the dark ever again. Yes. Yeah, the Tula, that is a combo Tula and Metatron on the album. Metatron was our old Shepherd mix that we had before. We actually had him when we got Tula, so he was an old guy when we got him even. How's everybody doing tonight? Don't forget to like and subscribe, etc., etc. Hey, Rudek. Just checking. The stream is good. Looks great. Inception. Oh, it won't focus. Are you asking me, Rudak? Because I did not go to a convention. I did a signing at a store on Wednesday, if that's what you're talking about. And that went well. It was, moderately attended like most signings that I do. But I had I had a great time. I had some friends that I've known since junior high came out. That was really fun. What else is going on? I got some comics I could show off, but they're all the way down in the other room. Yeah. So I'm just gonna dig into it. I guess we'll just start coloring this Krampus piece. I have not actually. I've done a ton of drawing this week, but it's all been digital. So this is my first time touching paper since I did this last week. Get rid of a little bit of our red pencil. I haven't been giving this thing much thought, so I don't know exactly what my plan is going to be. I think I'm going to do a wash over the whole thing, and then go in with the color. He's going to be like bluish black. The kids, I think to contrast, I think I'm going to put him in sort of like red and white. They're in these little sailor suits, so I'm tempted to make them blue, but to make them contrast with Krampus, I think I'm going to go red. And the basket's going to be like sort of tan basket color. And I think the wash that I'm going to do is going to be like a yellow to sort of warm it up. So I'll start with, this is yellow ochre and a little bit of Indian yellow. And then my Hosa yellow to try to brighten it up. Are you doing animation tutorials for Procreate Dreams? If you want to drop the link in the chat, you're welcome to. Pippy. If it's a thing that you're posting publicly, that is. Okay, no links yet. Forgot to mute this guy. Yeah, sorry about that. That thing, I think, can be really loud on the mic. Hey, Bo. V. Hey, where'd you get that? Thanks for dropping by. He only kidnaps and devours bad kids. By whose standard? I was about to start on the basket, but I think I need to start on Krampus. He's going to be a lot of Payne's Gray. In fact, I need a bigger brush for him. And I need more Payne's Gray. Refill my yellow ochre while I got it out. And might as well do my black too. Hey, Lucas. How you doing? Oh, you know what? I feel like I want to give his hands and maybe his feet a little bit of a pinkness. And maybe his ears too. That seems just kind of a little bit gross, which is cool. Yeah, it was great to see you too this week, Lucas. That was an alright signing. Like, it wasn't huge, but I have definitely done signings where nobody showed up. And the people who did show up were very fun and cool. Which, like, if I do a signing and one person shows up and we have a nice conversation, it's totally worth it. Yeah, I've had this sitting on my desk all week, Lucas, and I'm like telling myself, if you get through the week, you can finish that. What color should this loincloth be? I'm leaning towards red. But to keep it Christmassy, it could be green too? I don't know. Could do it like a blue or a black also. The festive loincloth? Yeah, maybe it should be like red with some gold. I have gold ink. I could go back in after I do the red and do like some cross stitch looking stuff on it. This is a little bit of bad staging down here. But that's okay. Hey, Comic Tropes. Yeah, we're getting into the season over here. Oh, Rudak, doing a deeper red might be a good idea. Like, do red, dark red loincloth, and then put the kids in more of a pinky red. What brand of paints do you prefer? Stuff from Daniel Smith or something else? Just curious. I use mostly M. Graham and Company. Which looks like this. Can I do... Am I coordinated enough to do the focus? These guys. And I kind of started using them mostly because they're local. Like the factory where they make these is like 20 miles from here. And but they also use honey in them as like their preservative, so it doesn't get moldy or whatever. And it's just delightful. Every once in a while, like if I ever put this stuff through my airbrush, the whole studio just smells like honey, and it's wonderful. Grabbed a few pencils to try out, mostly used Prismas until now, but I've been sampling a lot of stuff lately. They haven't arrived yet. Oh. I ordered some new paper to try out that I've been waiting to come in. It's Fabrino, I think is the brand. I saw some other artist who, as usual, I can't remember their name because the stream is going, but they were posting about the paper that they use, and they said they exclusively use this Fabrino paint. But man, it's pricey. It's about, to do a comics page at 11 by 17, it's going to be about $2 a page. Which all told is like fine. It's like a fine price to pay for doing stuff. But man, it always hurts when you like screw up a page and it costs that much for just the paper. I feel that way a little bit about my when I use the acrylic gouache, because that stuff is pricey. And if I screw up, I always just am like counting the dollars. Yeah, I'll try any spendy paper once. Yeah, I think it's worth it, man, because it makes a huge difference, the paper you use. And what's even like what's kind of messed up is like the paper you use, like the paper I used in San Diego. Well, I guess I used the same paper. I still used that Strathmore mixed media paper. And I started using that in San Diego, but when I moved to Oregon, I had to like relearn how to use it because it behaved totally different with the different humidity levels. And the different sweat levels. I don't sweat as often in Oregon as I did in San Diego. Yeah, the arches got pricey. It kind of like seems to fluctuate. Because they're owned... Who owns them now? Is it Strathmore that owns arches now? I'm looking forward to that Hellboy Yule Cat comic. Yule Cat is my second favorite scary Christmas monster. You know, I am not familiar with that. That sounds fun, though. That reminds me of the stories Eastman and Laird talked about using every little bit of duo-shade paper. Oh, yeah, man. That duo-shade paper, I think, is way pricier than anything I'm talking about tonight. I did a bunch of research trying to find that long time ago. It was probably about 10 years ago. But even then, it was, like, out of production. And, like, a single sheet was... like $20 or something, which is ridiculous. Like it's like the least archival paper you could possibly use, but That duo shade look is really cool. I want to see like what that looked like when it was fresh. Because it always just looks like, when I see like scans of duo shade paper now, and it's always like paper that's 20 years old, and it always looks like you could barely separate the duotone lines from just like the yellow of the paper. So I imagine it, like when it was new, it's got to have been like crisp and clean, but I don't know. Yeah, comic strip. I'm pretty sure it's out of production. I could be wrong. Somebody could be still making it, but when I've gone looking for it, um, it's like not. I could never find it. But I mean, they're still making Polaroids. Although I think the market for Polaroids is probably way bigger than the market for duo shade paper. Oh, interesting, Bovie. I might look and see if that video's, if I can find that video. That might be interesting to see. It sounds like a nasty process where it's like using the photographic chemicals. Yeah, doing the duo shades in Clip Studio is one click and you're done. It's so fun, actually, to work like that. Actually, one thing that I think is really fun in Clip Studio is to create 4 different layers and set them up with dot patterns, and then paint, and then set each layer to be a different C, M, Y, or K, and then paint the color separations individually. I don't know if I'm explaining that very clearly, but it's a pretty fun way to try to mix colors and sketch and doodle and stuff. Tugboat, it kind of looks like a newspaper comic, but it at least for me, it always looks like way more fuzzy and sort of like out of control. With a little more sort of thought and intention, I think you could make it look exactly like a newspaper. In fact, I almost did that with my Unteens book because we had all those pages that were supposed to look like they were comic book pages as opposed to the actual comic book pages. But instead of going for like a 70s coloring thing, I tried to emulate more of like a 90s what do they call that? Like the fancy pants coloring. Like what Vertigo was when it first came out, where it was all still hand separated, but they had way more colors. And it was printed at a higher line screen. Tyler, True Grit Texture Supply has digital craft tone colors with a CMYK color guide to get 130. Oh, interesting. I've been really tempted to buy those, but I haven't because I don't have that much of a use for it, really. But something like that could be pretty interesting. Is this art for you or for a project? This is for me. This is my... last weekend, I was just like, I didn't know what I was going to draw, so I asked people, and they said, draw Krampus. And it's always so hard to, like, do, like, paying work on the stream, because I always feel like it's supposed to be secret or whatever until it comes out. Man, I'm so glad I figured out how to set up OSB or OBS so I could do this guy. Seeing the palette, I think, is way more interesting than just seeing the painting. That's where the action is. Yeah, and yay for free software. It's not bad for free software. It is like... It definitely has its quirks, though. Oh, hey, Kelly. I was decorating the Christmas tree. Oh, yeah. You know, we haven't done a Christmas tree in years. We were talking about it just last night, trying to decide if we wanted to try give it a shot, because it had been so long. We have a cat now, so she would certainly enjoy it. Yeah, delightfully messy. Believe it or not, I think my palette is super organized. Whenever I see my friends' palettes, I'm completely scandalized by what a nightmare they are. I have kittens and they attack anything shiny or dangly, so no Christmas tree this year. Yeah. Yeah, you know, we adopted our cat just this January, and I had forgotten how much of my time now is going to be dedicated to just removing cat hair from my paintings. We'll keep an eye out for hairs and commissions. Yes, there's definitely guaranteed to have several cat hairs and at least one dog fart in every package that leaves my house. Hey, Mark. It's good to see you, buddy. That first kid is screwed. Yeah, all these kids are like, this poor little guy is like, already had it. Thought about getting a fake tree, but we found out the hard way that our cats also eat fake plants. Nightmare. We thought about that too, but it's also like a storage thing. So we just don't have a ton of places to store stuff like fake Christmas trees. Oh, Mark, did I miss that you were sick? I hope you're doing okay. Yeah, I thought about the Tonguebie a little bit, and I kind of decided not to worry about it. That's one of the things about, I think I talked about this last weekend, just doing watercolor. It's like so hard to do corrections like that. little bit bright. Might be a little too dark. I don't know. Is the Hellboy game out already? That's awesome. I don't know if I have any way to play that thing. Is it on Steam or whatever? I got mixed feelings about that, attempting to do Mignola's art style like that. It's like a noble effort, but man, it just is not like possible to actually pull off. I think you get like a cool result. It just doesn't actually look like Mike's stuff. And making a video game, I can tell you from experience, is like so hard. Like making a good comic book is like almost impossible. And making a good something like a movie or a video game that takes like 100 people and years to make, it's like the odds of it being good are so slim. Yeah, a Lonesome Hunter game would be rough. I don't exactly know how you do that. Oh, thanks, Bovie. Starting to get a little bit 3D. Oh, absolutely, Tugboat. These kids would get it chucked out of Wonkas Factory so fast. Thanks, Rudak. So I'm using Arch's paper right now, and it is like kind of bumming me out how long it takes to dry, this paint to dry. Because it like absorbs in enough that it like, to dry it has to absorb out again. Like I just hit this with that airbrush for forever, but it's still damp over in this area. But the thing it does really well is like soft edge blending like this. I'm getting those little cheeks to be soft. It's hard to do with my regular Strathmore stuff. Canson is who bought Arches. Yeah. Yeah, that's so weird. Like, you would think the Canson paper would get better, but I'm still not a fan of that paper. Hey, Charlie. Krampus has a modesty towel because he's a modest dude. He actually believes strongly in proper decorum, which is exactly why he's about to murder these kids, is because they have broke the rules of decorum. Man, the red looks good on stream. It doesn't look quite that bright in real life. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to get my camera to actually have, like, accurate color on the live stream. Too much cheap for the holidays. Yep, you do not want to see Krampus' special purpose. Man, where'd you get that? Your username is like messing me up. Every time I glance over at the chat, I'm like, where'd I get what? This would be a nice Christmas card for your family and friends. Man, I have thought about that so many times doing Christmas cards. I'm actually much more tempted to try to do Halloween cards. I think that would be way more fun. I feel like the background should be different than like the ground. Yeah, Bovi, what text would you add to this? What's the classic Michael Jordan quote? Something like, fuck them kids. Actually, that's just a meme I saw. I don't know the context of that. That might be bad. War of Christmas is here. The war on Christmas has begun, and you've already lost. Classic Jordan. This would make a great Starbucks cup. I agree. It's mesmerizing to watch you drag watercolor around. Thanks. It's kind of mesmerizing to do, to be honest. It is definitely like I've described it in the past as a controlled fall, where it's like you don't get to decide where the watercolor goes. You just get to sort of, give it little recommendations. Recently got my art books for Alice's Castle in the Stars. I was stunned by how much work he did on that comic, even before he drew the first page. I am unfamiliar with Castle in the Stars. Was it like a painted thing? I like how it gets better and better as the stream goes on. Thanks, Pippy. That's always like... that's always my favorite, too. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that happens. This one's basically going as I planned. Which is great. But my absolute favorite is when it turns out better than I planned. When I get to be surprised. Oh, interesting. I'll have to look up that book. As much as I don't enjoy doing behind the scenes stuff myself, I sure like reading about it. Like I love the behind the scenes stuff in the Black Sad books. Those have actually been very handy to sort of reference when I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Thanks, Tugboat. I don't even remember everything I've said since then. Oh, I was talking a little bit about Black Sad. Talking about Black Sad panel at RCCC was great. They talked about how he has tons of women with crushes on him. And, you know, I was saying that that was the curse of every one who does watercolor art. All right, let's do some splatters. See what that'll get us. Those 1920s live streams. They called that radio. Blood and candy. Yum. This is the part of a picture where I'm always like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Like, it doesn't feel done. Part of it is like the blacks, and they look okay on stream, but they're like too gray in real life. And this area is like, somehow it just feels like it's not done. Maybe I just need to do a little more color up there. It seems like there's always like a part of the process, like a time in the process where I just can't quite imagine what the next thing is going to do to the piece. Like before I start making marks, I kind of have this notion of like what that mark is going to look like. But here I'm like, I don't know what it needs, so I'm having a hard time imagining what I'm going to do next and what it's going to look like. Like, that helped it marginally. Maybe it's time to try some airbrush. But we gotta dry this stuff first. this is... So I was looking for my burnt umber ink. And this is my antelope brown. They always look the same, and you have to like look forever until you find the world's tiniest text on here that says what color it is. But this stuff like airbrushes on a very interesting golden color. I think I'm gonna do this instead of, or maybe do this before I do burnt umber. Let's see what it gives us. That's interesting. I don't know if it actually made it look better. It made it look a little glowier, which is kind of nice. Now I'll try a little burnt umber. is so weird. Like, it always looks so different on the stream. In real life, this looks a lot more subtle. On stream, it looks like day glow. I don't know how to change my light color profile. Being a comics artist nowadays means being a cinematographer. Now it's time for the ink wash. Here's where I start to do a Mignola and just turn this guy's foot into a shadow. Oh yeah, thanks Pippy. Don't forget to like the video, everybody. Thanks, Lucas. Yeah, more and more I'm working on this. I have this process where I like do the watercolor stuff and it's all, I get it as good as I can do, and then I add some ink wash at the end just to darken up my darks, and it really helps. Does everybody have cool weekend plans? I think we're going to go car shopping, which is absolutely terrifying. Seeing the Found Footage Festival. Oh, that sounds fun. I had a lot of books all arrive at once, so I'll be reading. Oh, that sounds really fun too. Which reminds me, I have a bunch of books that I picked up on Wednesday that I haven't started digging into yet. Pippy, we're thinking about getting we're definitely going to get an EV, and I think we've decided that we're going to get a Chevy Bolt, because that seems to be the EV that's in our price range. I was desperately holding out for a car called the Aptera to go into production, but my poor little Honda Civic just couldn't wait that long. So we gotta get what we can get. But it's not too bad. I think with the rebates and stuff, I think it'll be super fucking expensive, but I think it'll be about 20 grand. But my last car, our Honda Civic Hybrid, was the last car I bought, and I bought it 20 years ago. So, like, we went and test drove some stuff during the week, and, Jesus Christ, all these cars are like fucking Star Wars nowadays. It's unbelievable. The sales guy was like, "What features are you looking for?" And I was like, "Dude, all this stuff just seems like wizard magic to me." So as long as it does wizard magic, I'll be great. Like, I've never had a car with Apple CarPlay. Is that what it's called? That's what it's called. Yeah, right, Kelly? The one that had Bluetooth. I still have never had a car with Bluetooth. I was very impressed when we got a new stereo and I could plug my phone in via USB. By the way, anyone with an Ollie's buy them. There's a bunch of good comic books in there, lots of hardcover stuff. What's an Ollie's? Is that a chain store? I'm practicing drawing with the Karataki I can't read the whole word. Brush. Still working on control. Yeah, man. Learning how to ink with a brush takes a lot of practice. I started with brush pens and used those for years and years before I sort of decided it was time to buy a brush and start using that. Oh, Ollie's is a nationwide store. Like Target is starting to have comics kind of regularly. I don't get into the Target very often, but when I do, I'm always like kind of amazed. Like, I'm kind of amazed at like Target's record collection or selection. That's something I would not have predicted. All right, this is starting to feel like it's turning into something. Having Krampus doing this black back here is like starting to make this picture make more sense to me. The storytelling somehow makes way more sense all of a sudden. Like he's dragging these kids into the shadows. Yeah, the kid's reaching towards the light. Good luck. Yeah, Pippy. I don't think I've never heard of them, so I doubt that there are any out here unless they're like out east somewhere. This is a trick I do with water media all the time where I don't know how clear it is, but my table is like at a angle. So when I want to do a gradient, I put the dark end down and all the pigment sort of rolls towards the dark side of my gradient. That's a good example of it being a controlled fall, quite literally. Good stuff, cheap is their motto. It sounds like a Dollar General style place. Alright, one last little bit of splatter, and then I think it is finally tape time. Gonna do some white ink. Little shine in the eye always does wonders. All right. Yeah, all right. That turned out okay. Yeah, there's that twinkle in his eye. Last step. There we go. Mission accomplished. Yeah, this is all right. Thanks, everybody. All right, we went an hour and a half tonight. Yeesh. Well, I hope you all have a great, great weekend. I hope you have a lot of relaxation and a lot of fun creative projects and stuff. I'll get this scanned and get it posted up on social media probably in the morning. But yeah, until then, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. And I'll see you next Friday. And tell everyone you love exactly how much you love them. I love you guys. Thanks.